So welcome everybody. This is our 7th annual Free the Seeds Fair and our second and last time doing it full virtual. Free the Seeds is a community-based project of Land to Hand Montana, formerly Farm Hands Nourish the Flathead, and is rooted in building a sustainable and resilient future through real seeds, real food, real skills. Land to Hand's mission is to build a strong community food system that fosters socially just ways of accessing food. Free the Seeds provides us all an avenue to build on that system. So while this is a free event, it does take time and a considerable amount of time and money to make that happen. And if you'd like to support these efforts, please go to landtohandmt.org and donate through the donate button on the homepage, or the donate link on the Free the Seeds page, and we will also provide it in the chat. Finally, I'd like to thank this year's sponsors. Our major sponsors are Box of Rain Organic Garden Center, who offers garden supplies and classes in Kalispell. We'll link their website in the chat as well. Save Farmland is a new nonprofit based in Whitefish working to preserve farmland. And finally, you, our amazing seed savers who grew and saved seeds for us to package. At this year's seed giveaway, 75% of the seeds that we gave away were saved by our own community. Yay, us.
I'm Gretchen Boyer. I'm the Executive Director of Land to Hand Montana. And we are Free the Seeds is a project of Land to Hand. And this year is kind of the first year where we've really fully taken over most of the background work of Free the Seeds. And we still have a community, a committee that's part of the community. There's a couple folks on today that are part of that, Sean McDyer and Robin Kelson. And really, we're just want to kind of take a look at the past and just kind of think about the future of Free the Seeds. As you all know, we've had to be virtual the last 2 years. This year, we had to make a decision in the fall and the college wasn't ready. So we couldn't be together, and we're really ready to be all together. So having this 2 years of having to do it very different, we felt like that was enough time of reflection where we could, really think about what's Free the Seeds 2023 going to look like. So I'm going to share my screen here. Oops. Sorry. All right. So here's kind of the original committee that started Free the Seeds, and had the first few years, was really the brainchild of this group, and it's in its 7th year, still going strong, and a valuable community resource. Free the Seeds is rooted in the idea of real seeds, real food, and real skills. And we're a community-based project that's rooted in building a sustainable and resilient future through real seeds, real food, and real skills. 2016 was the first year that we had Free the Seeds. If Robin wants to speak up to this at all, I would love to hear her. That first year, we thought there would be maybe 350 people there, and 1,600 people descended on FECC, and we were not ready. It was so exciting. And we had the seeds in the middle of the booth room, and there were so many people, and it was beautiful and hard, and we learned a lot. And then really changed the format of Free the Seeds. And it was for 4 years, 17, 18, 19, and 20. The format that we had was just refined, but it was kind of the similar format where we had a seed room, we had a booth room, and then we had classrooms. Obviously 2021 and 2022 were virtual, so the number of workshops we offered was much less. And we created seed bundles, so which took away choice of seeds. We thought we did a great job of a good variety, but you still got what you got this last 2 years. So now we're in a place where we can kind of do that a little bit differently. So I don't know, Robin or Sean, if you have anything to add kind of about the past in a more general sense.
No, I think, the only thing I would add is I actually think the number in 2020 was 1,700, not 1,300, but it really doesn't matter. That number, whether it's somewhere in the 1,200 range, is about 2% of Flathead County's population. So that's a piece of information. And then I'm assuming, Gretchen, you're going to be sharing about the percentage of seeds provided locally, or if you want me to touch on that.
Yeah, I think if you can touch on that, I only know this year, so.
Okay, so, the first year, a lot of our seed was locally, was donated, frankly, from Free the Seeds, from the Good Seed Company. We sort of helped just provide a seed source at the start. But starting in 2017, we actually had to supplement the available seeds with seed purchases of varieties that did well here. And while we've done that in years, in each year thereafter, to make sure we provide a variety of seed for community members to grow and save, and that's a choice that the committee made. The percentage of seeds that are have been provided by the community has grown each year. I know that by 2019, it was close to 50%. I know it was over 50% in 2020. And I understand that this year it was closer to 75%. So that more people are providing seeds. So we're getting more seeds from more different people, and we're also getting more varieties of seeds from more and different growers in the community. It's to me, that is a demonstration of the value, impact, and success of Free the Seeds. I'm complete.
Awesome. I polled the committee, some of those folks you saw in that first picture of like their favorite memories of Free the Seeds. And it was funny. Multiple folks said how pleasantly surprised they were, or pleasantly overwhelmed actually was the term, and how many people came to join the event. Because as I said, that first year we just had no idea, and we were just so thrilled that so many people were interested in saving seeds and being a part of a seed community, learning how to grow and nurture the land, which was just really exciting to us. Also, the other favorite memory was just how awesome the community was at sharing their expertise. We have no problem having 24 workshops and having 24 experts share their expertise, and that is just really amazing, because as Sean and Robin I'm sure can tell you, it's beyond them presenting to you what they did, creating their PowerPoints, practicing it, getting it ready to share with the community is a lot of work. And so it's pretty humbling to see how many people are willing to share their expertise for the community. And so I thought maybe we could start with people, because we want this to be an interactive conversation, if anyone would be willing to share their favorite memory of Free the Seeds.
I can share a memory that I have from, I think it was 2020, doing the mushroom cultivation class for the first time. And after it was really well attended. I think there was standing room only. And then after the workshop was done, a mom with her son, who was maybe 9 or 10, came up, and she kind of had to nudge him because he was very shy, and said, ask him your questions. And they had come all the way from Wisconsin. They were on a path somewhere out west in Washington. They stopped specifically there because he was wanting to start a mushroom farm at age 10. and
Oh,
had all these amazing questions that I was just kind of blown away by, that someone 10 years old, had that level of knowledge and excitement about it. And that's kind of what reinvigorates you as a presenter to keep wanting to do it, that makes that kind of impact to people.
That's awesome. I think one of my favorite things about Free the Seeds, and it's not a specific memory, but it's kind of a pre-Free the Seeds, like this year, just how many people will come and, I'd say, how many seeds do we have packaged so far, Whitney? And she was like, oh, we're at like 5,000. In November, we were at 5,000. We had a school group that did 1,000, like this effort, like we don't, all the seeds are pre-packaged for folks, but we get volunteers to do all of it. And it's unbelievable how much help we get to make it happen and how willing people are. And that's probably one of my favorite things.
a favorite memory of mine is, so up until we went virtual, we've done it at the Flathead Valley Community College in the A&T building. And as you take the stairway down, there is a window onto that main auditorium space. And it's just unbelievably gratifying to stand at that window and peek down into that auditorium space and watching it fill up at the start of the event. It's everyone's putting their booths together and maybe they're chit-chatting, but they're just kind of getting ready and there aren't many people there. And then it fills up with time. And then there's just this din and cacophony as everyone is talking. They're sharing with each other, they're talking with the booth people, and there's just this continual din of engagement and enthusiasm, even as people move in and out. It's just nonstop conversation. And it's just very touching to watch that over the course of the day.
Anyone else want to share a memory of Free the Seeds? So my next question is, what have you missed? But I think what we'll do is start on specific topics. So I want to talk about the seed giveaway. So, and my prompting questions are, how can we have less congestion? What's worked well? What needs improvement? And that's I'm going to stop the share so we can kind of be looking at each other. But I would really love to know, especially from the, the other folks that are on, if you want to type in the Q&A, if you want to take yourself off mute, but for me, when I look at the beginning of the seed room and I see the line in the morning, I've always worried, like, how do people feel about that? Is it too long of a line? Or how do we make that, should we work on making that less congested? And so I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. We've been talking internally about some potential ideas to alleviate that, or maybe you're going to say you liked it the way it was and it worked great. I just really would love for you all to inform how that might look next year, because we have an opportunity to change it up a little bit if we need to.
Well, I'll say something in the spirit of brainstorm. So we're just brainstorming, but
Yes.
if we were to have seed packets available in sessions. So if you are going to a session and you're going to be hanging out anyway, don't get in that line, right? You'll have, they'll have some in the sessions for people who are attending. That might just kind of dissipate people a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. One other thought we had talked about was maybe creating, like, having different rooms, like having a flower room and having I don't know, we would have to figure out what kind of categories, the way we have them split up right now. Maybe we do the ones we have most varieties of in that bigger room. And so that's one thought. I don't know if anybody has any reflection on that idea.
One thing that was really fun today at the Columbia Falls giveaway was people were opening their little bundles and sharing among themselves. And I wonder if we could like create that sort of space outside somewhere that people could still do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think, Mara, as I'm thinking, as I'm listening and thinking, I think one thing that we unintentionally have created with the system we are using currently is there isn't much interaction among attendees, well, period, among the attendees with respect to seat exchange or seat conversations. They're all in a line, walking through something, picking out packets and then leaving, as opposed to some other system that might allow for more dialogue and conversation. Yeah.
Is there any benefit to next year to continuing with the bundles to some degree, so that if there's people that want to just get, a starter packet of seeds, they can just get in and get out, and then the people that want to kind of linger and shuffle through everything can do that, and that'll reduce at least, maybe 30% of the congestion?
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Maria or Paula, Lisa or Lucy, do you guys have any thoughts on that? We'd really love to hear what you guys think.
And please feel free to type in the chat if you don't feel comfortable speaking up.
I think all those ideas that you guys put forth are really interesting. I think on some level we could maybe do a little both of having, seeds and and maybe we have bundles in the classrooms. I don't know. I definitely know that it's nice to pick out your seeds. Choice is always great. And I think, Sean, you're right. Some people will be like, I'll be fine if it has a green and a veggie and we can, the ones that we've been doing, I think have a good wide variety in them. But yeah, I think I love that idea. Is there anything else about the seeds that you guys think we should, reflecting on how it was, that we should pay attention to? We just had it from 9 to noon is how we did it during the seed. Right? Is that that's how we did it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we didn't have it the whole time. Do we think extending the hours of that makes sense, or keeping it as it is? I mean, I'm just open to any thoughts on it as we.
One of the reasons we chose not to keep it all day was we converted, at least for a number of years, we converted that space into workshop space in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of it was a space consideration. And then we also wanted to create, then I think in later years, we wanted to just create space where people could, not feel like they were missing out on the workshops because they were standing in line to get seats.
Yeah.
So.
I think somebody today suggested that we use the new building that they're going to have. So they're building that McLaren Hall should be done. It's a big auditorium. I have no idea how big the empty space will be, but I know the symphony is going to use it. So it's probably going to be pretty large. So that's one thought too, is that we could have it in a totally different space, but it doesn't solve the problem of potentially missing workshops.
Yeah, I think separating them into different rooms will help a lot. Just because more people will be walking in and out of more spaces. I think it'll go fast. That's a good, yeah. I don't have additional thoughts.
Paula shared in the chat that she likes the idea of having more rooms with seeds and also maybe more room for vendors,
which we'll chat about next. Is there any, Sam, thanks for joining us. We're asking people if they want to be promoted to panelists, so that if you have something to share, you can voice it. So we invited you. You're welcome to join as a panelist if you'd like. All right, I'm going to share my screen again.
I just like
Oh, sorry.
to say
Brennan.
one thing about
Yeah.
the new hall, the new music hall. I do know that it's being designed specifically as a music space, so it might not be as easily open. But who knows? We'll see what happens.
Awesome. So next, I want to talk about the workshops. So typically we've hosted between 15 to 25 workshops. Is this the right amount? You know, being virtual, like on the first workshop I was in this morning or this afternoon, we had people from Eureka, and even on this call, we have folks from Eureka, Colorado. We had someone from Lima, Montana, you know, all over the state. And, you know, the idea, should we keep a virtual option? Should we have some particular workshops that are at the fair be both virtual and in person? You know, if we can do, the college is equipped now for that because of COVID. So that possibility is there. Currently, we do 4 hours of structured workshops. Do we think that's too much? Is it not enough? Should we spread it over 2 days? What are we missing? So these are the things I'm considering, like the questions on my mind that I'd love to hear your thoughts on. So I'm gonna stop share so we can look at each other. But you know, you know, one of the pieces that we think oftentimes the last hour of the day is not as attended. And so, you know, do we want to, is that not the time to do it? Do we put the most popular workshops then? I don't know the right thing to do. It's just a dialogue. So any thoughts on that are welcome.
Maria wrote in the chat that virtual has been great because she's in Libby. And we know that sometimes people made the trek. I'm adding this. Sometimes we know people made the trek from other parts of the state, but because it was just one day, that was sometimes tricky. Paula also voiced that we should keep some virtual or put them on the website for people to access. And something I'll add is that we know that having the virtual sessions has allowed for the recordings of them to be so much more digestible. And so when they are on the website, it's much easier for people to see. So I agree.
What do we think about the number of workshops and how long the day is? Those of you who have a thought on it, we would love to hear it.
It felt a wee bit long to me. I almost missed this last one. I didn't realize there was a third one. The previous one seemed a little bit long on that topic for my preference as far as sustainability talks. I thought the seeds one was very relevant for that. I really like that one.
Thank you. You're on mute, Robin.
I don't know if this is, if you're going to ask this question later, so feel free to let me know. But as I reflect back on previous years, and I'm thinking of what Brenna, you know, this comment, I agree that the virtual option is an incredibly valuable service. You know, it's something we've all learned through this pandemic process, the value of offering virtual, so more people can be reached. And I do have a memory of the day being long when it's in person. And so anyways, that's another piece of it. And what I'm also thinking is, I don't recall that we've ever had this following thought, which is, if we, for those who do make the trek to come to a Free the Seeds event, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to do some engagement in the evening, or just create an opportunity for conversation, maybe through a potluck, or I don't know whether that would be useful. Other people would enjoy it. I, of course, really enjoy the opportunity to just talk to people and learn their stories and just hear them share. And it's always fun to do that by breaking bread together in some way. So I just had that thought, whether that might be another way to connect, because there's some part of the way we do Free the Seeds, or have done it up until now, where it's either a giveaway of seeds, or an instruction in terms of sharing skill, but there isn't a whole lot of opportunity for just dialogue and connection. And I'm just wondering if there's a value there.
I think there's some value in reducing the number of classes a little bit, just so that there's not as much competition of time of, we've heard from people in the past, like, I wanted to go to yours, but we're going to this one because it's happening at the same time. And there's usually like five classes happening simultaneously on the years that we've done that many workshops. So I think, for the ones that we have in the library now of seed saving, seed starting, anything that's recorded that would be a recurring presentation, we could just keep that as the virtual component and not, make the presenter have to do it again unless they really want to. Because there is a benefit to the live event where, people feel more interactive, to be able to ask questions. Maybe they're more willing to ask questions when it's in person and it's right there versus virtually. But I think, maybe don't limit it down, by half, but maybe you just reduce a few so that, everyone has the opportunity to go to everything that they want to go to without having to extend the day further, which I think would be kind of rough.
I'll just take a moment to read some of the things that have come into the chat. Sam says that a combination of virtual and in-person might draw more people, which I think is definitely true. And she says that it's important because, according to Robin, it will make more robust genetics in our seeds, which is awesome. And also, I think this comment, I love that, Robin, is directed towards the potluck or some other evening gathering. And Mara wrote, I know there are so many experts in this valley, but I wonder if fewer workshops each year would make for less burnout for all the presenters year after year. And personally, I love the idea that Sean brought up, that as we have recordings of people for certain aspects, possibly we could even have classrooms where that recording is being displayed at the event, so people could go and sit and watch, and it might be a good lull in the for some people who aren't as extroverted perhaps as others.
Any other thoughts on workshops? Is there any, I would love to hear, especially from Sam and Lisa, Lucy, or Maria, Paula, if there's any workshops in particular that you have really missed, or that were your favorite workshops that you want us to make sure that we have, or if we've missed something that you would really love to learn about more. That would be really helpful for us to know as we start thinking about next year. And because we'll start planning. I mean, we'll be thinking about it over the summer. And the other piece that we've been talking about as an organization is offering some periodically, through the summer, offering some classes kind of through the guise of Free the Seeds. We're thinking about one in the spring, one in the summer, and one in the fall. That would be an in-person, maybe out of the Wildcat Garden, which we now maintain in Columbia Falls, to give some other more interactive options throughout the year.
Maria put in
permaculture.
the chat about learning about permaculture systems.
I think, Maria, that's a great one. I think we'll put that on the top of our list because it's not the first time we've heard it. I think that'd be a great idea.
And Sam added in the chat a couple of topics that they would value: home composting, how to create a quick compost system for fast finished compost.
We got an expert in our office on that. We share with Dirt Rich Compost, so we'll get Alyssa on that. She would love to share with all. Well, she actually has a couple different compost systems that she could share. So. Any other thoughts? Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again.
I have one more
Oh, yeah.
comment. And I
for
don't
it.
know how feasible this is. You know, I tend to forget this year. This happened to be a mild March, and we were all virtual anyways. But if there's an opportunity to do some hands-on learning, to structure something in a way that's hands-on rather than a presenter presenting it in an audience listening for a couple sessions, that, you know, that might be an interesting thing to figure out how to do. So when you were talking about composting, I was thinking, I know that in the past, like Patty Armbruster I've seen her do a session where she's taught how to build a compost bin, and then they've auctioned it off or something like that. I've seen that at other conferences. But anywho, I just am always trying to think of ways people can, you know, actually get their hands on the process themselves.
No, I agree with you. I was thinking about the pickling class that Julie's going to do, and you know, we could totally do a pickling class and have jars for everyone in it, and you know, do some pickling right there. Like, I think that would be really fun. I agree. I've been thinking about that too. Yeah, that's awesome.
Building on that, maybe something for kiddos, something hands-on for kiddos. I know Whitney does lots of cool things at summer camp, but I don't know if seed tape might lend itself to being a fun thing for kiddos to do, or if that's viable, but something.
Yeah, you know, we have the kids' room, but we don't do like specific workshops for kids. Like, there's lots of different activities that the kids can do that's kind of all ages, and it's just this one room. And I have it actually in the later slide, talk about that more, but that's an interesting idea to do a workshop specifically for kids. Like Whitney's doing next, you know, on Sunday, she's going to do the kids cooking class, which we haven't done. So that's like geared towards kids, and a workshop for kids, which we haven't done in the past. I'm curious to see how it goes, but I like that idea that we maybe would add a couple things that are just for kids. I think that's a great idea. Is there anything else on workshops that you guys want to add before we go on to booths? And we can talk more about kids.
I'm going to add some things that Sam put in the chat, just so everyone can hear. Beekeeping or bee supporting, bee, the insect supporting. Native plant propagation. It could be really cool to get someone from the Center for Native Plants to do a session, perhaps, I'm thinking. And also a topic related to repurposing junk into usable gardening supplies. That's a very cool idea.
Awesome.
And something, this is a thought of mine. It's not specifically about the sessions, but I've been thinking about how this event is sort of like a conference, but in many ways not organized like one, which in a lot of ways is amazing. But it does mean that there's less opportunity to create what am I trying to say? Create a feeling of togetherness, because people kind of enter and they mingle and people chat, but and folks will talk to strangers if maybe they know they're going to learn something from them. But if there were an opportunity to start with everyone all together, and maybe that's an opportunity to use that new not stadium, auditorium space to give people the feeling that they're really, they can all support each other. And I think that's maybe something that's kind of missing in the the alternative structure of this conference.
Missing the networking piece, essentially, like, and the camaraderie piece. Yeah.
Yeah, and people, openings are really important. They get people thinking, and we always have a theme, but we don't necessarily share like the details of why we came up with that theme with all of the participants.
No, I like that, Brenna.
Yeah.
Anything else on this topic from the group? Well, that was
Okay,
helpful.
we've got a few things in the
Oh, go
chat.
for it. Great.
From Paula, a thought on workshops. See if there are folks / farmers who would offer a 1-day workshop on their farm. She met a lady with the lavender farm down by Lakeside a few years ago, and people could go help harvest. And then Maria says, even a way to connect gardeners by location to support each other would be nice. So maybe like the opportunity to have, even if it's breaking the Flathead County down by region, and having rooms and say, you live in Libby? Here, go chat. This is the way you can support each other.
I think that's a really great idea. We had a handful of people today that all came down from the North Fork, but they came at separate times and they all had North Fork specific questions. And I was like, I wish you were all here at once. So I think that's a fun idea.
And just keying off of the person's comment about offering workshops and things, it occurs to me, and it ties into Brenna's point about what if we started at a set time and there was a beginning session, you know, that we were gathered together. And I'm just thinking, you know, for the people, like I'm thinking of Land to Hands forward contracting carrot program, you know, sharing about that program and inviting people to sign up to help harvest, or the program that at least North Valley Food Bank is doing about gleaning, you know, just inviting, opening, creating a space where everybody can hear. Here are some ways we are working together in community, and if you'd like to participate, here's how, you know, so that it's hard to communicate when we're all coming in and going at different times, and if there's no way to know that the information got communicated to everyone. Anywho, so that's yeah.
Maybe our theme next year is going to have to be cultivating community. All right. I saw some other things in there. Farm tour day. You know, we have been thinking about how we want to, we used to do farmer field days kind of regularly. We haven't, obviously, life's just been interesting the last couple of years, so we haven't done that, but sounds like there might be some interest in bringing that back, which would be great. And I think we're definitely going to do some stuff out of the Wildcat Garden, which is a really awesome.
Oh, that's
garden.
perfect. Yeah.
I'm gonna move on to booths. Uh, and someone already made a comment about this, so I'm curious. So we've been using that big room in the AT building at the college for booths, and it's pretty full. I think we can kind of max out, I think, at 45 booths. And you know, since we moved the seats out, it's been not as crowded in there, but it can get pretty crowded in there. And I'm wondering the amount of people in there, the variety, who might be missing, and any thoughts you have about the boothing areas. You know, this picture in the far, oh, I don't have the picture. Oh, I thought I put the one in from the first year where it was so packed, it was insane, but I guess I didn't. So in thinking about booths, those of you who have been to Free the Seeds when it was in person, thoughts? Yeah, Brenna is keeping notes for all of us. She's the scribe. She's been typing vigorously. Is there anyone that we're missing?
I
that you'd
think
like-
that,
Oh, sorry, Sean, there you go.
I mean, I have a suspicion that the number of booths next year would be more than, you know, what we maybe saw in 2020, just because there's a, you know, we see a lot more diversity at farmers market of people starting side businesses and things like that happened during the pandemic. And, you know, the valley has gotten a little bit younger, and a lot of kind of entrepreneurial people have moved into the valley, that I have a feeling that, you know, the excitement about next year, there's going to be probably more booths than we had 2 years ago. Is there any other space that is available to use within the building there?
I mean, I think we have the hallway, like if we do the seed room different and we don't have like a big line down the middle of the hallway, I think there's space, you know, down along the hallway there that kind of opens up at the far end where we could put people, but they wouldn't all be in the same room, but maybe that's fine. Who knows, the McLaren, this new hall, I'm not sure. You know, maybe we could, it's nice being all in one building, but I think there's options. And if we think we're going to have a lot more people, I think we want to be thinking about that soon and talking with the college about it.
Paula has added that she says it would have been great this year. We went to the home and garden show at the fairgrounds and it was a bomb. I felt. I think next year could be crazy.
Yeah, I think so that's clear. We should make room for potentially way more people boothing. So that's a good.
Yeah, I
good
concur.
feedback.
I think start early, you know, engaging people, being thoughtful about how and when we engage potential booth people, because it's been 2 years, to get them on our radar. And yeah, and I concur that there's an opportunity to add, you know, probably increase it by a quarter or a third.
Okay. No, that's good. That'll be important for our planning. Any other comments on this topic? This might be the.
Do we
Just that
have
we need more space.
parameters for who can have a booth? Is it any business or organization? Are they, I know that they're like the Tower Gardens folks have been there, but were they just giving out information or were they actually selling?
Yeah, it's at the college. Nobody's allowed to sell anything.
Okay.
So that's one of the parameters. We're really focusing on businesses that help grow food, that, you know, farms, businesses that are about local food and local land conservation, I think is kind of where we've been at. You know, we've had everyone from beekeepers to the conservation district, USDA, you know, the local, you know, Nelson's Hardware, you know, so a pretty
for those
wide
of you-
variety.
And for those of you who are not familiar with the process, up until now anyways, it's if somebody wants to have a booth, they fill out an application, and then that application gets reviewed by a committee. And I can't remember, maybe Gretchen, you do. There was one, I'm only aware of one organization. It was a business that wanted to participate, and they really, nothing, you know, they were,
It was Norwax.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember what it was. But so there was nothing about what they did that had any connection to the Valley. It was just a business, you know, that they were a franchisee or a marketing person for. So if it didn't have some connection to growing or the Valley, there's a line, and we drafted, and I can't remember the language, but there are some parameters. So it's not, so that it just doesn't become a free-for-all, you know. Yeah.
Everybody's selling you something you have to buy.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, we yeah, the parameters are what Robin said, and we probably have it written. I'm sure we have it written down. But we haven't done it in 2 years, so
I
we don't
know.
really remember. And I think we want to keep it that way. I don't think, you know, we want you know, businesses that are selling, or, you know, people that are selling stuff from outside that isn't pertinent to our the Free the Seeds mission, then, you know, we won't do that. Any other thoughts before we move on? I'm going to share my screen, I think. Oh yeah, we definitely, so there was someone in the chat wrote about a workshop about grafting. We have had Rod McKeever do that workshop. We should probably ask him now to do it for next year. He's not always here in the winter. It's sometimes he goes down south, but he's great at teaching grafting. All right, and so the last kind of topic that I had was kind of like the other things that we do. So what we've done in the past is kids activities. We have a kids room that has, you know, that's just open all day, and it has all sorts of activities for little ones, and, you know, through age of kids that you would not, you know, that you would feel comfortable leaving for a little bit. So and that's just been open all day during the workshops, and I think kids have enjoyed it, but it's just kind of a free-for-all. It's not, you know, there's people in there that are part of different activities. And then we've also offered PRI credits to teachers, which is the continuing education credits that teachers need, and they can earn credits at this. We've done that every year. So, and then, you know, the other ancillary thing we've done is, like, you know, how should we engage the community outside of Free the Seeds? And so it's kind of loaded with a lot of things, but these are all kind of the extra things that we do. And I'm, you know, I think one idea with the kids was to potentially have some workshops that are geared just towards kids, which I actually think is a really neat idea. But I'm wondering, you know, you guys, your thoughts there. And
Well, I'll just add, I'll start by saying, I know that Glacier Institute has run the activities, I think the last 2 years at least, and they've done an amazing job. So, and I would say continue, I would be in favor of continuing working with them or some equivalent of people who are both connected to and committed to the sustainability and soil food piece and who have such great skills at engaging kids. I think it's valuable. There was a question in the seed workshop earlier today about, what's the state of education, seed education at the school level. And so offering OPI credits is just a valuable way to create a resource for any teachers or anybody in the school system who wants to lean in at any level. Again, that piece about reducing the barrier to entry, I'm in favor of any way we do that. And I think, and to me, what I'm about to say is something that might, it helps connect Land to Hand's mission to the work that is being offered through Free the Seeds, and that's this concept of engagement. So maybe, yes, we could offer more classes or some, field days or things like that. And here's a resource of people who might want to volunteer for food-related activities that Land to Hand benefits from. And to me, it would be perfectly appropriate and reasonable to highlight those, promote those, because it just helps build engagement. And if the more engagement we have, the more positive impact and successful the mission of Free the Seeds is, it seems to me.
Well, and we've been working with the Glacier Children's Museum, but the Glacier Institute, I
Oh,
like the idea.
The Children's
No.
Museum, or whoever it was.
But what you said made me think we could engage other nonprofits that are doing good work and ask them to take having Glacier Children's Museum take that on was it was so awesome for us, because it was okay, that part was taken care of. And so I think if we wanted to do workshops, for kids, we could probably talk to the Glacier Institute and ask them to come in and do, a couple of workshops during the day. And I agree, the PRI piece, the continuing ed credits for teachers, couple of the years we had one class that was set up just for the teachers where we taught a lesson plan on a particular subject. And I would love to do that again. The last time we just, and all the classes at Free the Seeds were we were able to get them all part of, we have to go through a process to get them approved through OPI, I guess, to make that happen, the Office of Public Instruction. And they've been really wonderful to us and have accepted all of our classes as credits for teachers. But I think it would be cool for us to do one on seed saving, a lesson plan that teachers could use and teach in their class. So, and Whitney is doing that in Columbia Falls right now. But I think that would be a really great idea. You guys have put in tons of great ideas for workshops. Very appreciated. We love it, because that will really help inform what we offer next year and kind of help us start thinking about who we want to ask to teach. One of the things that you put in there, Sam, about pest control, I don't know if Patty talked about, we had a really awesome workshop last year that is online. And I don't know that she talked about gophers. I can't remember, but she did talk about tons of other pest controls and natural plants, that you can plant. And it's a really great workshop to watch online. I moderated it last year and I was blown away. It was such an awesome one. So that'd be a great one if you want to check it out. But we'll definitely bring Patty back. We gave her a year off this year. She's a very amazing teacher. And what were you saying?
Patty is the one I'm thinking of for the microbial life in soil. She did this incredible session where she had giant plush bacteria, and it made me understand why no-till is amazing for the first time ever. I've been trying to understand that for years, what exactly is the issue. And she did a kid's lesson, but it finally clicked in my head. So if she wanted to do microbial life in soil again, I think I highly recommend.
Any other thoughts on the kind of the ancillary stuff that we do? You know, the engaging kids. You know, Lisa, I can see your thing in the chat. Nutrition is related to local fresh food. I just met with this community food systems class at FECC, and they're mainly culinary students in the class. It's a required class now for the culinary program, which is so awesome. They have to do an internship on the college farm at FECC. And I talked to them about Free the Seeds, and I said, like, I'd really like to get the culinary department involved, and they were all really excited. So I'm going to talk to them when they first start their class next year and see if we can get them to do a community project for us. And it could be both with adults and kids. We could do, like, you know, 2 versions of something, have them do a cooking demonstration, talk, you know, and they will all be kids who've already, or students. Most of them actually aren't kids. They're like adults going back to school, but they've already interned on the farm. So community food systems are on their minds. So it'd be really neat to have them shape something that they start doing at Free the Seeds.
I've always kind of thought, and I think I've spoken to Robin about this, touching on, you know, what a lot of people have said already, of trying to find more ways to get the community engaged and involved. Things doing outside of the main event of Free the Seeds is, you know, like film series, where select, you know, movies that are, you know, relevant to, you know, the core missions of Free the Seeds, and use it as a way to kind of like direct a conversation rather than just having like an open forum of like, come, you know, everyone come talk about the things that you are interested in, things like that. Having, you know, a very relevant and kind of singular topic that, you know, we feel like is important, and then using, you know, short films or even, you know, full length features to kind of bring everybody together and then create a conversation after the movie.
Yeah, Robin and I talked about that too. Do you think, when you think about that, Sean, do you think it would be, and this is the thing I've been trying to think about, how, like, a structure around it, do you think it'd be something cool to do, like, leading up to Free the Seeds, or something to do after?
In the winter time, you know, as part of marketing for Free the Seeds too, is to like get it out there to more people, but also give something, you know, movies indoors during the winter time. I mean, January, February is pretty bleak, for especially for people that aren't, you know, into outdoor recreation, skiing and things like that. It's kind of a hunker down and just get through it kind of time. So I think that's a good time to consider it.
Yeah, that's helpful. Any other, you know, feedback in general, like things you don't like about Free the Seeds that you definitely want us to change? Like, any feedback in that realm where you're like, I wish you wouldn't do this. We're happy to hear it. Any other suggestions on, you know, I saw Sammy put in about foraging. I think that would be awesome. I would love to have a class on foraging. We'd have to find an expert. I know a mushroom guy. Where is he? I think, Sean, you know him. He comes to the market. He's a forager. He's funny.
I don't give away my spots for free.
Yeah.
That might be the issue. They don't want you to know where they're foraging.
Yeah.
But I mean, apart from just what, you know, everybody's looking for the berries, but, you know, the forest lettuce and, you know, anything else that is, you know, because kind of, I think part of this is preparation, sustainability, like being able to do more with less.
Well, and I think you could teach a class on like areas to pay it, you know, like not where to go, but like kind of things to look for.
Yeah.
And how to do it well and respectfully and sustainably, where you're not ruining.
Definitely.
Those would be interesting things.
Yeah, there's something to forage from March through November, basically at all times during, you know, most of the year here. So there's, I mean, then you'd have to pull from, there's a couple people that I'm familiar with that, I've met through mushroom foraging that have experience in other edibles and things like that, that might be worth pursuing. And, people aren't as kind of secure about their other wild plant forage spots as they are their mushroom spots, their morel spots and chanterelle spots. So,
Well, plus maybe beginner foraging, apart from getting into the fungi, is a little bit safer. Yeah, if you don't know really what you're looking for with those.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good
Paula
point.
put in the chat saying that she thinks we need more exposure. And we have been working on that a little bit.
Thank you, Paula. That's helpful. Those were kind of my topics. I don't know if anybody has anything else. As I said, we're open to any feedback. Thank you, Paula, for bringing that up. And any suggestions, we're happy to, I think the last 2 years we stuck to kind of social media. We did put posters up this year, but we put them up kind of late. So we'll be on that a lot earlier next year. But any suggestions that you might have on how we can do a better job of advertising the event, we're happy to hear as well.
I would just add, which I'm sure is already on your books, is if we do a press release and engaging the local magazines and newspapers to, with an article, to write an article about being back in person, and just engaging at that media level, I think has always been impactful.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Paula says there's Flathead events online, 406 magazine, maybe others. I'll write them down.
Supposedly we were on all the calendars, but maybe that's not true. 406 magazine has talked about doing an article on us, so we should probably get with them in the summer. And for 2023, when we want to really make a big splash back in person, I think we'll have to be thinking of that stuff much, much earlier. So that's all helpful. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And usually we did, Lisa, thank you. Usually we actually did a better job of like bringing our posters at least up to Eureka and Libby. And we didn't do that this year, but all those pieces we'll bring back in of trying to get them out. And maybe like Lisa, we could send some to you. We could mail them to you and you could help us put them up in your area. So I think engaging people who are in those further areas and sending stuff to you guys maybe would be helpful. Oh, perfect. So I don't have anything else. All this has been really helpful. Brenna's been taking a ton of notes. We do the event every year, the first Saturday of March. So you can expect next year, I'm guessing it might be March 6th, that we will be hosting the event at FECC. We always use the Arts and Technology building, and there's some new facilities since we did it last, so we may engage other pieces of the college. But it's been a great central location for the whole valley to attend. So I think we'll stick with that. Unless anyone has some other brilliant idea. And thank you, Maria. We'll definitely keep you, we have you guys on our list. So we'll engage you to help us advertise in Lincoln County for sure. Definitely if anybody else, between now and then, if you want to email us at hello@landtohandmt.org. Brenna, if you'd stick that in the chat. We're happy to take suggestions anytime, especially as you go through the rest of this webinar series. If you join any other ones, your feedback is welcome. You will receive we're going to send everybody a survey. Please feel free, if you have time, please fill it out. It's really helpful to us. And we really appreciate your time tonight. And I've been doing this since 8 this morning, so I'm tired.
Thank you, Gretchen. Great facilitation. Really
Ah.
appreciate it. And really honored to be a part of it. Great job.
Well, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate all your feedback, and it will inform next year's fair. So thank you so much for taking the time.